We're going to start off with best female wrestler, and we're going to go to last year where all of us had different winners. We had Braden with Willow Nightingale, Davey choosing Roxanne Perez, Wei Ting with Timeless Tony Storm, and I had Sari from Japan. So those were our 4 for last year. Kicking things off this year is the one and only Braden Harrington with best female wrestler.
Yeah, this year, women's wrestling was awesome. Like, some of it, maybe even better. The standout of wrestling this year was like the women. And I feel like in both WWE and AEW, I felt like the matches stood out, the story stood out. But there was one that stood the test of time because she is timeless. And that is Timeless. Toni Storm is my best wrestler of 2025 when it comes to women because everything isn't always in black and white, but I love when she is in black and white. And it's the little things that AEW have done to really get this character over. I think maybe the year before when this first started, I wasn't fully into it. But then you had at the end of the year, the memory loss angle where she was kind of pretending she was a rookie again, to just some of the best matches that have been produced this year. So the silver screen classics keep on hitting, and she lives the gimmick. Like in real life, she's the closest to like, this might sound crazy, she's the closest to like the Undertaker, where she just keeps that gimmick so protected. She is like Cary Grant. She's like, nah, this is who I am now. And I love the fact that she lives in this world that she has created. So I love not only the character, but I love the wrestler and the wrestling that she comes out with. So shout out Toni Storm.
All right, 1 vote for Timeless Toni Storm. We next go to Davey Portman with best female wrestler.
Yeah, it was a toss-up between 2 this year, and Toni was definitely one of them. But I had to go for Mercedes Moné. I think the stuff she's done, not just in AEW, but the stuff she's done all over the world on the indies, you've got to give her credit to. I think she had a rocky start in AEW, but has really found her stride now, and she's at the point where any match she has, I'm really interested in watching. I thought the match at All In with Toni was fantastic. And it was just cool because I went to All In this year in Texas, and then just a couple of weeks later, I was back in the UK seeing her in a small Rev Pro show in Wolverhampton. So just seeing the contrast of her working this huge stadium show to like a more intimate indie show was pretty cool. And I think she didn't have to do all those indies. She's Mercedes Moné. She's a big star. She absolutely didn't have to do any of them. And I think she wanted to kind of give back to wrestling, but also prove that she is what she thinks she is. And that's the best in the world.
Did you have a side category of best Japanese-trained, German-speaking female wrestler located inside of a bar after a major AEW event?
Oh, well, Tekla has to win that one.
Okay. I had a few. I had a short list, but Tekla was my vote as well. Over to Wei Ting for best female wrestler.
Yeah, this is a category when we're talking about best wrestler, I tend to maybe way more towards the in-ring. And for me, like I say this every year that I want to watch more Stardom, but it's just becoming a tougher and tougher task, you know. Number one, because
Davey's going to watch a lot more Stardom this.
I say it every year, but
because of its like lack of accessibility, first and foremost, okay, but also just because there's so much other stuff. But I also feel like this year is probably where Stardom would have really dominated this category when we're specifically talking about in ring. I don't watch enough of it, so I can't necessarily in good faith say like, this person from Stardom should be the best wrestler. So for me, it was down to AEW and WWE, and that would be between Mercedes Moné and Io Sky, who I think on Raw continues to deliver very consistent quality. I'm of the opinion that I think in-ring Io is better than still Moné still. But I think when we look at volume and when we look at like extracurriculars outside of what she's been able to do in the ring, the variety of opponents that she's had, I have to give it to Mercedes Moné. She's had matches throughout the year in North America, US, Canada, Mexico, of course, UK, Austria, Poland.
Winnipeg.
Well, yes, still part of Canada, but barely. Denmark, Italy,
Barely.
Sorry, Winnipeg.
and I really do think it's completely unprecedented for somebody of her fame, not just within the WWE, but through like Star Wars and whatnot, to love wrestling that much to extend herself so much. And I know that's been kind of met with controversy. I completely don't buy that.
Manufactured.
At all.
controversy.
I mean,
in my opinion.
I don't doubt that a lot of people like truly feel, oh, how could she not go back and like, lose these belts? I mean, like who, ask any of these promoters, they're more than happy to, have her just come in and not drop a belt and just have her name attached to their show. So I think what she's done this year has been incredible. So she's my wrestler of the year.
All right. Well, 2 for Mercedes Moné, 1 for Timeless Tony Storm. I am going the Stardom direction and choosing Saya Kamatani, who was the Tokyo Sports MVP, which is, for those unfamiliar with the Tokyo Sports Awards, these are probably the most political awards in pro wrestling. And for a woman to win it, it sounds completely dated, but it's a real big deal for her to win MVP in Japan. I think that this year she held the World of Stardom title the entire year, and the 3-match series with Tam Nakano beginning at last year's Dream Queendom and then continuing through the career match they did in March at Korakuen Hall that set up the even bigger career versus career match at the end of April were 2 of the big highlights of the year. Stardom had it was the best drawing Joshi promotion in 30 years, and it's really off the back of Saya Kamatani this year. So not only did she have like great wrestling matches, she was a legitimate draw in her company and was recognized at the highest level. She had a match on terrestrial television that hasn't happened for women's wrestling in that country in 23 years as well. So you can really look at her as a difference maker over the past year. But I agree with all of you. There were some really great candidates this year across all the promotions where we've talked on a weekly basis about like Asuka and Io Sky and Kairi Sane, like throughout the summer, they were in arguably the A storyline on Raw doing talking segments, and no one batted an eye. It wasn't some hiccup. There wasn't a language barrier. They were put in positions where it wasn't just getting over in the ring. It's like these were fully fleshed out characters that I think really peaked during those summer months, and they all stood out. And Io had a terrific year. I just found it just kind of throughout the fall, I felt she kind of took more of a backseat in the Rhea tag team that didn't get me across the finish line. And Kamatani, it was just such a strong campaign. So that's where I went there.
Like Io Sky definitely had a big year. I think some of the Io Rhea Ripley stuff like transcended like into pop culture on social media. I was seeing it in non-wrestling. Like people were just posting clips of Io and Rhea and like wrestling and stuff. And I think it kind of...
Oh, the AI farms, I'm sure. That had a field day.
Yeah. No. I'm just mean like, I feel like that people were like, oh, who are these women? Like, why are these, what's going on here?
They took a major step up when it comes to non-native English speakers on WWE TV this year, and that's through the character work of Io, but namely Asuka and Kairi, who I think they really figured out how to like get their personalities across without necessarily having a manager attached to them,
Throughout the month of January, you have the chance to lock in your subscription at the Post Wrestling Cafe for all of 2026 before the price increase takes effect February the 1st. Simply sign up before February 1st and you will lock in that price all year long. If that's not enough, this month we have the annual Best and Worst of show as we get together with the Poison Rana crew to look back at 2025. We're also doing live watch-alongs of the Royal Rumbles from 1990 and 1995 with Brandon from New Jersey, a retrospective on the Tanahashi-Okada rivalry, plus reaction to Wrestle Kingdom 20, a review of TNA's debut on AMC, and much more, including TNA Genesis, UFC 324. It's all found at postwrestlingcafe.com. Next one is Best Male Wrestler, and this will be interesting. The last 2 years, it's been a clean sweep of Will Ospreay. All of us voting for him the last 2 years. So we will see if that changes up this year. We'll start with Wei for Best Male Wrestler.
Yeah, for this category, I think I think of this category as more the in-ring, and it was a real toss-up between, I think, a Bandito and a Konosuke Takeshita, but then there are just so many others, specifically in AEW, that I think you can put on that list as well. For me, in terms of consistency, in terms of volume, in terms of singles output, I think Konosuke Takeshita is unmatched, being the best performer in 2 of the highest caliber promotions at the very same time, star of the G1 and principal, one of the stars of the C2 this year, had 92 matches across AEW, New Japan, and DDT, and 6 matches rated 5 stars and above by the Wrestling Observer. So
7 hours of ring time, as we learned.
7 hours of ring time, New Japan, mainly achieved through the summer. Yeah, so I think it's completely amazing, and in terms of consistency, I think he's just unmatched right now.
Let's go to Davey with Best Male Wrestler.
I went for someone who at the beginning of the year, I wouldn't have thought I'd gone for at all. And I thought might even be on some of my worst of lists.
Oh, Ricochet won.
Hey, I think I came round on him last year. But man, Jon Moxley, what a year he's had. And like once that Cope feud was out the way, I think he really hit his stride. I think they understood what the Death Riders were. But if looking just at in-ring performances, man, like All In Texas, the Texas Death Match was incredible against Hangman. And then you go into all these TV matches he's had since then, like the like mini Kyle O'Reilly feud, the match with Mascara Dorada during the C2. He's just consistently, there were matches with Daniel Garcia and just consistently putting on great matches on TV and somehow keeping his character so interesting after he lost the title. And it's the most interested I've been in him for a while. And then you get to the end of the year and he's got the Kyle Fletcher match. I just think his output has been incredible. And I was very torn a few weeks ago with who. Like, Takeshita was definitely on the list. I think, obviously, Will, if he wasn't injured. Like, he had a great start to the year. But by the end of the year, it was easy for me, Jon Moxley.
I could still see Ospreay getting votes from people, even with the reduced, the kind of last couple of months of the year being absent. It was still such a spectacular year that he had. Moxley is a great call. Like, he was certainly on my short list. I look at this category. I do weigh for both female and male. I do put like box office as part of this equation in my thinking. If it's just pure like the performer I think I enjoyed watching the most this year, just from an in-ring standpoint, was Kyle Fletcher. But incorporating all of those facets, I went with Mystico in Mexico because CMLL had just an unbelievable year and he was at the top of it. Like, when you're talking about filling Arena Mexico on a weekly basis that they almost were doing, they drew over 1.1 million people just to Arena Mexico. That's just like the mainly the Friday night shows. And he also got, I think, a lot more attention because of the affiliation with AEW, the appearance at Grand Slam Mexico. And this is someone who, like, his biggest drawing years were like 21 years ago. And here he's come back and it's just lit Mexico on fire. And when the announcement was made about AAA being bought by WWE, the thought was like how harmful this could be to CMLL. It's shown no ill effects thus far. Like, you have, AAA, I think, is way more in mind with people now, and CMLL is red hot at this year, and Mystico is a huge part of it. Had that match with MJF at the anniversary card that a lot of people checked out. So a lot of different ways you can go with this one, but I thought this was like the year I will think of, like, with CMLL and Mystico. So over to Braden to wrap up Best Male Wrestler.
It's just funny because I hated Sin Cara. I was so wrong. I'm so sorry, Sin Cara. We were wrong, and your theme song is awesome. But this one was tough. I thought Jon Moxley had a really good year too, especially the second half. But someone comes to mind right away, and I'm agreeing with Mr. Wei Ting because Konosuke Takeshita, the Alpha. I think of personally, anytime a match is announced, when it's Takeshita, I have to tune in. I have to watch. And this year, not only actually making me watch some of the G1 again, but then some of the New Japan matches, winning the IWGP title, even though it was the butterfly one. I thought that was awesome. I love the stuff he does in AEW. And I think one of my favorite stories this year is Okada big leaguing him. And it sincerely makes me want to see this guy kick his ass in 2026. So it might not be the most, like you said, box office and maybe most interested story, but when it comes to in-ring, Takeshita, the Alpha, he's a hooper. He's a baller. He's one of the best in-ring wrestlers, and I love watching him. So
I think this category is interesting because we kind of have our own definitions of like what it means to be best wrestler, right? And I don't think there's a right answer for that, because I mean,
it's whatever.
We all watch for different reasons.
Art is subjective, and that's what wrestling is, even though we call it sports entertainment. But like, this guy's track record this year was crazy with New Japan, AEW, the matches with Ospreay on TV, plus Bandito. Like, the list goes on. And I just think every time I watch him, I'm like, this guy is incredible. And I feel like the Japanese crowd doesn't necessarily love him as much as maybe I love him. But yeah, I can't wait to see what he does next year.
I didn't obviously go to as many shows as you guys did, but definitely the best match I saw live this year was Okada, Takeshita, and Mascara Dorada at All Out. I mean, that was just
Absolutely.
an unreal match to see live. Like Takeshita's a great call.
That's such a match you could show non-wrestling fans, because it's like you got these two Japanese dudes who hate each other, or they're supposed to be friends, and then the luchador who's in there using them as the base and jumping around and flying around. So the rewatch value on that triple threat is awesome. But yeah, I really love this guy, and I can't wait to see how far he can go. And I know the triple contract, shout out DDT, and New Japan keeping him around while he's doing AEW. Like no one else is doing triple. Can you imagine flying back and forth like he's doing for some of these things? It's got to be insane.
Braden's going to get a Wrestle Universe subscription now for Tokyo Joshi Pro.
No,
Takeshita and Yuka Sakazaki teaming.
No, I've been using yours. It's fine.
Yeah, that's right.
That's how I got my early access DDT tickets through your subscription. So thank you, John.
I can't imagine even coming here was an ordeal, so I can't imagine flying back and forth.
Yeah, imagine trying to fly 15 hours for a match only to get back on a plane to go do it again.
Davey would just walk.